Good evening. This is your boy Rolando here with you on XY Spark. We thank you again for joining us here on our live show. We are so glad that you continue to be a part of the XY Spark family. And we are, as usual, excited for all those who have been faithful listeners. Guys, I want to tell you that if it were not for your willingness, your participation, you like it and share in our downloads. Believe it or not, we are drawing closer to 5,000 downloads here on XY Spark, and it's all because of you. We could not have done it without you. So to all our listeners right around the globe, wherever you are, it may be morning for you right now, maybe evening, it may be later in the night. We don't know, but one thing we do know is we appreciate you, we love you, and thank you for continuing to follow and like and share and subscribe. And also thanks to those of you who have been patrons of XY Spark, without who this message and what we're doing would not be continuing the way it is. And this evening we are so excited, and it's no exception. We have a special guest that decided to become a part of the XY Spark family. We have an amazing person that I'm going to be telling you about in just a few short minutes. But just before we do that, I wanted to remind you that we have some special guests coming up that you can't afford to miss. We have, for example, Dr. Gregory Horton. He is an Olympiad, and he's going to be coming and talking to us about the work that he's doing for men, for sports enthusiasts, and what his passion is as it relates to sharing healthy masculinity. We also have coming up Dr. Courtney Duque, who's going to be coming and talking about the idea of meditation and how we practice meditation to promote healthy masculinity in this day and age. And so, guys, we just want you to know that all the programs and all our guests that are coming, they are going to be bringing you meat. So you better be prepared. However, tonight I want to invite you to fasten your seatbelts because we are going in for a ride. I'm warning you ahead of time. We are going in for a ride. But just before I introduce our guests, just stay tuned as we have the short intro, and we'll be right back with you.
Grief and loss, trauma, mental health, alcohol and drug use, gender roles, anger management, self-esteem, sexual abuse, domestic violence, and the pressures of societal norms are real-life issues that affect men. Join Rolando, psychotherapist, author, life coach, and motivational speaker that has dedicated his profession to working with men to find a healthier alternative to cope and handle these stressors. Rolando believes that men are lacking in social, psychological, emotional, and spiritual support that is necessary for a lifestyle that promotes healthy masculinity. We invite you to join us on XY Spark, where we discuss issues that men face. At XY Spark, we believe the key for happier families is restoring healthy masculinity.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We're right back with you. And this evening, we wanted to introduce you to an amazing human being that has decided to become a part of our conversation this evening. We have with us, believe it or not, Cornelius J Maxwell. So who is Cornelius J Maxwell? I'm not going to take anything away from the name. I'm going to just give the baton to Cornelius right away for him to give us some feedback about who he is. Cornelius, welcome. Good to have you, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. How you doing, Rolando?
Man, you know already, man. I'm excited, man. I'm just excited, I'm glad that you decided to be here. And, we wanted to give you the opportunity. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Cornelius, and what you do.
All right, excellent. First, I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you for having me on your show. Um, and I'd also like to say thank you to your audience for attending and listening because they've invested their time into hearing what we have to say. And I truly
Mm-hmm.
appreciate anyone who invests their time into hearing what I have to say. It's an honor and a privilege of mine. So, like I said, I truly appreciate, this aspect of things, that you and your audience as well.
Yes.
Now, now Cornelius J. Maxwell. Cornelius J. Maxwell. About myself. This is one of the things is like I don't like talking about myself, but yeah, I do like talking about myself type of moments, right? And so, like I said, I'm
That's
a U.S.
okay,
Army
man.
veteran.
That's okay,
Yeah.
man. You just go for it, buddy. No problem
Oh
here, man.
yeah. Oh yeah, no issues, no worries, no worries. So I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I served 3 tours in Iraq. I'm a author of a book titled "Unapologetically I'm a Man." I am a 2021 Academy Award finalist. I find out in May if I actually win the award in the leadership category.
Congratulations, man.
Oh yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. I truly appreciate it. I'm an
Wow.
entrepreneur, philanthropist. So I'm a man that wears many hats, and I'm a man with many with who lives with purpose. So right now, I believe that the best way to describe Cornelius J Maxwell is I'm a man who's at the point where I'm starting to embrace, and the more I embrace, the more I start to understand the anointing of my destiny.
Mm, wow, wow. You started off on such a powerful note, Cornelius. I have to brace back now when I answer this question because
Mhm.
you said that you are embracing your calling.
Yes,
That,
sir.
that's a very deep expression there. What do you mean by that?
Well, I believe that is, we're all born for a reason, and the thing is we have to pursue and understand it. Understand why were we born and what is our destiny. And so I believe that my destiny is to be able to help as many people as numerous of the stars in the sky.
Mm,
Similar to, Abraham in the Bible, where he was
mm-hmm,
the father of as many descendants as numerous of the stars in the sky. And so I
mm-hmm,
want to leave a legacy behind that helps people, millions of people for generations to come. And I believe that's my calling. That is my anointed destiny. And it comes from even from my childhood, you know. And if you're familiar with the story of King David from the Bible, he was a
mm-hmm,
protector. And
hmm,
so, my older brother, he's diagnosed with autism. And so he doesn't speak, he doesn't write. And I remember being like 2 years old, living in Mississippi. And, he ran, like my mother was trying to bathe, my dad was at work or something like that. And so, he ran. Now here I go. I got him, mama. I got him. Running behind him, and my younger
mm-hmm.
brother's like 1 years old. Me too, me too. And so we've always had that protective instinct, right? To be protected
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, he doesn't sense danger. He doesn't speak words. So, he'll put himself in dangerous situations, not thinking anything, no,
Mm-hmm.
not realizing it's a dangerous situation. And, so he'll run the street and the cars are not slow down. We have to push him out this way to keep him getting hit. So we're, put our bodies in front of his to protect him. So we're to shield him to be hit by cars. And this was like the majority of my childhood. The matter, this was my entire childhood, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and, and sometimes he'll just out of curiosity, just run and, he'll just go into people's houses and he didn't have no dangerous intent, but they didn't see that. So, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times they're just, pull that knife or a gun on us, like we feeling like it's self defense. And I'll say, no, no, don't shoot him. He has a disability. I'm just gonna get him out. He's just curious to see what's in your house, I guess. I don't know. He doesn't speak, so we don't know what's on his mind, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to explain that. And that's how the largest portion of my childhood went, was being the protector of my older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
and so for me, I feel that your youth also shapes your future destiny. And I believe it has led me to the position where I'm at now because, like I said, the Academy Award that I've been offered comes from me speaking up in politics on with the concept that I was blessed to receive from a DoD report that is designed to save the lives of 2 million veterans with PTSD who are homeless, unemployed prior to getting out the military. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I presented this concept in front of this, state Congress. They loved it. They said write a bill on it. I did a petition for it,
Mm-hmm.
and which is the reason why I've been selected for the leadership award for this, for the Academy Award.
Man,
And
that's
so,
amazing, man.
oh yeah, well, appreciate it, appreciate it. I'm just doing my best, and
Wow.
because like I said, I want to live a life with purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and with destiny. And if you don't have a calling that's bigger than you, then especially as men, we're born with a calling that's bigger than us, because we're the ones who carry the family's birthright. And that's what leads into my book, which is Unapologetically I'm a Man, which is inspired by Martin Luther King Jr.'s last protest. And so,
Mm.
and that's the thing that they were really trying to teach is, what is your birthright, and do you know the value of your birthright, and do you value yourself? Because a man that doesn't value his birthright can't value himself.
Man,
So,
listen, man, Cornelius, hold on, man. I don't want you to run away from this, man. Listen, this is sweet stuff
mhm,
here, man. Listen, man, I don't know,
yeah.
if those guys who are listening recognize how sweet this is, but you said that that's
Hmm.
so powerful. You've got to know your birthright.
Correct.
There are so many men now, Cornelius, who have
Hmm.
no idea what that is. So you have to
Correct.
be careful how you use that word, and thus you can't just slide it under the rug there. You have to,
Uh-huh.
talk some more about it. As you say, you wrote
Hmm.
that book unapologetically I'm a man.
Yes, sir.
Tell us, how did the inspiration come about? Why that title? What were you trying to say?
Well, like I said, I was inspired by Martin Luther King Jr.'s last protest, I am a man. And I started really realizing, like, why did he have to say, I'm a man? Right.
Hmm.
And I started doing some research, and I remember seeing, the movie Malcolm X, and I seen they killed Malcolm X's father when he was like, I'm a man. Right. And I started looking at, the the white terrorist structure, that's normally called white supremacy, but someone told me the other day on social media it's a white terrorist organization, not white supremacy. They're not supreme, they're terrorists. And I say, I like that terminology, so I'm gonna start using that. So, when I look at these white terrorists, right, and they create their system on destroying the family structure in the black community, right? Going back to slavery, when you look at the buck breaking system, they stripped you of your name, right? Well, let's go back to birthrights, right? And so, well, let's finish this part right first, and then we'll go to the birthrights. And so they did this, and they stripped these men of their value in front of their women and in front of their children, and they did that because they said this is how we're going to make money, and we can make money for generations to come if we attack their birthright. And so, and because as men, that's what we do, we carry the birthright. And that's what I realized from doing my research from this book is, as men, that's the value we bring to the family structure that women don't bring, is the value of the birthright. The woman may nurture that, but as men, we carry that. You see what I mean? And so,
Mm.
no, when you talk about marriage and the marriage structure, a man's name doesn't change to the woman's name. The woman's name changes to the man's name. So that's why I said the man carries the birthright and the woman nurtures that, because she's nurturing the name and the heirs. She nurtures the heirs to the birthright of that family name. And so
Mm.
when I look into the black community, I realize that's the one thing we never had. We don't have. And the reason why I say that is, there's an author named Dale Carnegie, and he wrote this book like around 1923, I believe. And it's titled "How to Win Friends and Influence People." It's a real popular book. It's actually like it's been like a New York Times bestseller for like 50 years or something like that. It's really popular.
I know the book.
Okay, great, great. And he said in that book, there's nothing more sweeter or personal than for a person to hear the sound of their own name.
Hmm.
And and even when you take the Bible, right? Because when you look at the United States, part of its politics is comes from the Bible,
Hmm.
and even says there's power in the name, right?
Hmm.
And especially when when they refer to the story of the Messiah, right, Christ, and it says power in the name of Jesus, power in the name. And so you
Hmm.
have to realize, why is that? Because, and I realized what a birthright stand. So I start studying. Birthrights are, for one, they're your identity. Your identity would include your name, your customs, your language. So, like for example, let's say um, in Mexico, in Mexico, or Mexicans, what they do is they have a custom that welcomes their young ladies into adulthood. They call it the quinceañera,
Hmm.
right? And they celebrate them coming to womanhood. And we know that the Jewish people, they have the bar mitzvahs to welcome their young men into adulthood at the age of 13. You
Mm.
see what I'm saying? And they have these
Mm-hmm.
different customs and things of that nature. And I looked at the black community and I realized black Americans don't have this. We don't have this in America. This was stripped from us because the first thing they did was they took away the name,
Mm.
and and so it creates a certain level of longevity for poverty or perpetual poverty, because if you remove the birthright from the family structure, it's going to be poverty. History has taught this. The Bible teaches this, that when you remove men from the home, you're removing the biggest ability for a child to move forward and to learn about their identity, because the identity comes from the man, right? So
Mm.
that's one thing about birthrights. The second thing about birthrights is they are also spiritual, because you determine which God you serve, and you teach that to your heirs, and that's to go down generationally. They're also economical, meaning that there are what we consider inheritance and other assets to be passed down, right? And the last thing they is political, right? And because let's say, for instance, in the past when you had like a monarchy, type government, or kings pass down the right to be kings to their heirs. Emperors pass down the right for emperors to be heirs. When you look in
Mm-hmm.
the ancient Romans, you couldn't be a senator unless your forefathers or you are a descendant of a former senator,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so politically, and then when you look at it, also let's look at combat. Kings had this great, and political leaders gain a great level of respect from combat, right?
Mm.
And those soldiers that serve with them also have that, because they are the ones who serve along with that political leader, so that you gather political influence from being a conqueror in combat,
Mm.
right? And so with that, and this is the one thing I give the reason why I say this example, why we know when people talk about the Civil War in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say the black soldiers don't have to fight. They say the white soldiers are going to do all the fighting, and the black soldiers will get their freedom. And the black men were like, no, I have to fight too.
Hmm.
And the reason why they felt like they had to fight is because for that political birthright to be passed down generationally. Because you can say, hey, my forefather fought in this civil war, and now I have this political backing because of what they've done.
Mm.
Right? If they didn't fight, then no black American would have the right to say that. So
Mm.
some of them fought and died for that right, right, for that particular birthright. And
Mm-hmm.
so these are the four things that I've come in my research to realize are what birthrights are within the family structure.
Mm. Mm.
You
Wow.
know, and mm-hmm,
Wow, wow, wow. That's pretty deep stuff, Cornelius, you said something, and you know, being the role that I play as a psychotherapist, as you talk
mm-hmm,
about birthright, one of the things that I've seen a lot of is there are a lot of men now, white men, black men, you name it, a lot of men now who are being taken out of their homes. Okay, you
mm-hmm,
have a lot of single moms. It's not just something that happens to black men. I find that a lot of
mm-hmm,
men now, they are struggling. They see their kids rarely. A lot of men are
mm-hmm.
in prison. A lot of men are being taken away out of the homes by drugs and alcohol use. And so
Correct.
the mom has to be protecting the kids from a dad that is under the influence so much that he's now
Mm-hmm,
abusing. So that is, as we look in that area, that appears to be something that is destroying what you mentioned earlier, the name,
mm-hmm.
the
Correct.
legacy. So how do we, yeah, I mean, how do we bring that back? Because we're talking about healthy masculinity and facing the fears, and you talk about some of those big pieces, about how
Mm-hmm,
men were taken out, the birthright was being destroyed. How do we bring
mm-hmm.
that back? What have you found from your research and stuff? How do we help men like that?
Well, the thing I realize is, well, in the United States is right where in the 1960s we decided to vote that says, well, a woman can have welfare for her children if you take the man out the home, right?
Hmm.
So you're creating an atmosphere alone that policy because, like I said, we talked about, if the child who is not within the family structure is your bastard children, right? And
Hmm.
so a lot of times they don't have access to birthrights. Very few bastard children have birthrights. It's very rare. And so
Hmm.
with that, it's that when you do that, you take the man out the home, you're creating these bastard children. And then I don't say that in a way as a negative way. I'm using, the literal terms, and so it's not to offend anyone. So I don't want anyone to take this as an offensive message or
Hmm.
attacking message. This is just,
Hmm.
I'm sharing thought, and I want to make sure this is understood thoroughly. And
Hmm.
so with that, by doing so, you're creating a generation of men who feel like I don't have to be in the home because my children will be taken care of, with their mother and a welfare check,
Hmm.
right? And this is what it is in the United States. And so now you create a generation of men who don't want to be fathers, right? And then you have a system such as like a child support system that says, the woman automatically has custody of the child no matter what, unless she gives away her rights. She may be the worst parent out the two, but they don't care to
Hmm.
hear that, right? They just automatically say you're the man, you're the one who's going to pay the money. If you don't pay, you go to jail. Period.
Hmm.
You lose your
Hmm.
job, you go to jail.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
So
mhm,
like that, anything you've done for this child before the courts ever have been involved is considered a gift. So they can charge you all the way back to the birth of the child. So let's say, for instance, um, let's say you're married, Rolando, to a woman, right? And you've been married to this woman for 30 years.
mhm,
And all of a sudden you can say, you know what? Um, for whatever reason, the marriage doesn't work.
mhm,
And you have two children that are 26 and maybe 23.
mhm,
Well, in the divorce process, the woman still can get 18 years of back child support, even though those children are grown and you raise those children, because anything you've done for that child prior to that child being in the court system or in the family court system, then it is a gift. So you literally can be charged for 18 years of back child support after 30 years of marriage, after your children are 26 and 23 years old. You see what I'm saying?
Oh
So,
man, Cornelius, you're scared me
yeah.
now, man, cause I'm married. So.
And these are this is the politics of things, right? And these things I believe need to change. I think that, me personally, we can have more male involvement if we change these policies in the
But you
United
know,
States.
Cornelius, I'm going to tell you something. It's
Hmm.
not only in the United States, eh?
Correct.
Because I'm over here in Canada, and I'm
Hmm.
telling you that I wish we had some legal luminaries who are listening to these podcasts because
Hmm.
it's so it is so. I mean, as a therapist, sometimes I talk to a lot of
Hmm.
men who come to me and share these stories, and my heart literally breaks when I hear the
Hmm.
stories. You know, there are some guys out there who they have messed up, but there are some guys
Correct.
out there who they have been doing their best, and the system, the judicial system,
Hmm.
there's no consideration. It's as if you were born a man, so automatically this curse is going to pass down to you. So once a
Hmm.
man stands in court, as you said earlier, even if he's the best dad in the world, the
Hmm.
judicial system that we have, the prime ministers that we have here, the prime minister that we have here in Canada, all these
Hmm.
politicians, all these premiers, all these judges who wear these hats, no one considers the how this is going to impact men. That's why more men in our country are committing suicide, and more men are in jail, and more men are in
Hmm.
drugs, because the system has been squeezing literally the life out
Hmm.
of them. And as a counselor, sometimes when a
Hmm.
man comes to me and shares with me what's going on. This is what
Hmm.
we call situational stressors.
Yeah.
We as counselors, it doesn't matter how much cognitive behavioral therapy we know, it doesn't matter how much behavioral activation skills we have, it doesn't matter how much skill we have to do whatever approach, solution focused therapy, emotionally focused therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy. As counselors, it doesn't matter how much of that we do. Once these
Hmm.
men are caught in the system, their very life is literally squeezed out of them. I know of guys
Hmm.
now who they want to get divorced, but they're scared.
Correct. And the thing is right. The beauty about being a man is we can always reproduce until the day we die. Even after death, we can reproduce, right?
Mm-hmm.
A- and the thing is men, that's what we're supposed to do: be fruitful and multiply.
Mm-hmm.
And we're living in courts and judicial systems that are restricting men's ability to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're using the money aspect as a way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a sad thing because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the back in the day, right? I mean, I look at people like my grandfather. He has 6 children,
Mm-hmm.
and and we look at his father before him had like 6 children, and and I even met a bishop one time, right? He has passed away now. Him and his wife passed away now, but he had 20. They had 22 children
Wow.
together, and
Wow.
yeah, that's a lot. And the thing is the big family structure is a good thing to have a big family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're developing legacy and you're creating a platform that's going to inspire for generations, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so and so when you look at it, and that was even the value of Abraham's story, the fact that he was able to be the father's many, descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a man who didn't have his first child until, he was around maybe 90, 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So as
Mm-hmm.
men, we can always reproduce because God gave us the authority to do so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where a woman, she has a certain time period where she can reproduce and then she's done.
Hmm.
So with that, that's why I say the birthright is with the man because we can continuously, reproduce as well. But
Wow.
yeah, and look at it, where we live in society now where masculinity is frowned upon.
But what is that? Because something, Cornelius, and that's why for me, my passion is promoting
Hmm.
healthy masculinity.
Correct.
Now, there are so many of us as men.
Hmm.
To say I am a man, it's it goes in so many different directions. And
Hmm.
that's why our passion here at XY Spark is we want to say, what is healthy masculinity? Is it just about
Hmm.
making babies? Is it just about
Uh-huh.
how much alcohol you can drink and show your friends? Is it about how much muscle you
Hmm.
have or don't have? Is it about how
Hmm.
tall or how short you are? Is it about how
Hmm.
good looking versus how not so good looking you are? What is healthy
Hmm.
masculinity? Because a lot of men, when they hear this, they don't even pause to say, hey, let me catch this podcast. It talks about healthy masculinity because every
Hmm.
one of us are bold or we like to puff out our chest and say, hey, I'm a man. But what
Yeah.
comes with that?
Yeah. Well,
that's
the
why
thing
that's
is,
why I
it comes
invited you
with, yeah,
because your book says unapologetically, I am a
unapologetically.
man. So
Correct.
what is that? What does it mean to be a man?
It means to be a leader. To be a man, you're the leader of your family, right? You're a man, you're a leader. You're by nature, God made you a leader. So we have to
Mm-hmm.
find different ways to lead. And because the future of the family legacy name depends on us as men.
Mm.
And we're born with that, even when you look at, like the pre-Renaissance, and stuff like that, them kings always wanted to have a male heir because the male heir carries a family name
Mm-hmm.
and a family legacy. And
Mm-hmm.
as men, this is the value in the stress and the pressure that we carry with us from birth.
Mm.
And and this is something a woman doesn't carry because her name changes, so she becomes, and that's why her father gives her away to the man that she marries, where
Mm-hmm.
there's no one giving the man away. You see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm.
And because, as
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I said, we're chosen to lead. Our voices are deeper because it's to give command, speak with
Mm.
authority. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're to be strong in character and principles and embody discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, it's meant this is what the example that we're supposed to be. Because that is how you perpetuate the legacy of your family's birthright. Because you have to have character, you have to have that. Um, and without that, then you're a man that lacks character, and that's a man that is unhealthy masculinity. Because now you're not showing and teaching these attributes that are valuable to a society.
Mm. Mm, you said something, Carney, saying, no, there may be some women who listen to this podcast and think, what is he
Hmm.
saying? Because there are some women who they struggle with this idea about men being leaders and me bearing his
Hmm.
name. A lot of women are getting married or they're not changing their names. Why should I change my name?
Hmm.
And so some women may hear that and they may think, no, this guy, I'm not listening to him. But
Hmm.
is that what you're promoting? That, well, the man stands in the home and he's this autocratic leader, and because a lot of men, when they hear about they should lead, one thing comes to mind,
Hmm.
is patriarchy.
Correct.
I have the final say. Things go the way I control all the money.
Hmm.
I dictate. Is that what you're saying? Because we want to make sure that we make
Hmm.
it clear.
Well, leadership, I define leadership by this term, and I live by this. And this is my personal definition of the word leadership. Leaders seek opportunities to serve others and lack the expectation for others to serve them.
Wow, wow. That's powerful. Say it again, Cornelius, because we want to make sure that it goes down in the archives here as a quote
Hmm.
from
Yeah.
Cornelius J Maxwell. So give it to us again.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. Again, my definition, I personally define leadership as leaders seek the opportunity to serve others and lack the expectation for others to serve them.
Wow.
So it's not about being the one who's in, because you can control and inspire others, right? Leaders inspire others,
Hmm.
and we inspire others to be their best. This is the process of positive masculinity, right? Because we
Mm.
reinforce. For instance, I have a daughter. My daughter is a teenager, and when she said I can't do something, I said, "What is your last name?"
Hmm.
And she'll say Maxwell. I said, "What's my last name?" Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
So I said,
Mm-hmm.
"You're my daughter. You can do anything you put your mind to because I can do anything I put my mind to."
That's
See,
right.
that is,
That's
and
empowerment.
yes, correct, correct. And then she starts realizing, well, I can do certain things. Okay, okay, thanks, Dad. And then, and then move forward, right?
Mm.
Because as
Mm.
leaders and men, our role is to empower. That's what we do. We empower others. Because when you look at it, right? Let's look at even on the job. You have managers and you have leaders. We've all, and I consider a manager someone who's about task only, right? And if you worked a job, I'm pretty sure we've all worked a job where we've had a manager who was annoying that stood over your shoulder, micromanaged everything, and you just did enough to keep from making that boss mad, right?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
someone who has lacks
Yeah.
the ability to empower others.
Mm.
You don't want to be that
Mm.
type of leader because that's not a leader. That is a
Mm.
manager.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I do is I do public speaking. I teach this,
Mm-hmm.
and because when you don't have the ability to empower others, your leadership only it's the best it can do is it can be an additional skill, right? So when you look at a formula of influence, your influence is only big enough within that circle to keep people from being mad, from right
Hmm.
from making you mad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people are serving doing enough just to get by to serve you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? That's
Mm-hmm.
this when you get to this level, this isn't leadership. You eliminate the ability of people to be creative.
Mm.
You know you create the people to create, and creativity is what drives this world. New ideas,
Wow.
new inventions, right?
Wow.
Because you have to empower others to be authentic.
Mm. Mm.
And that's the thing is you can't empower others to be authentic if they're afraid to be authentic.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. That's powerful, man. So healthy masculinity is facing
Hmm.
your fears and recognizing that one of your role is to empower. So empower your
Hmm.
wife, empower your kids, and empower
Hmm.
others around you, empower the community, empower those you lead. and
Correct.
and and and, and the way that you put the term leadership there, it's so beautiful. I really love it. Leaders
Hmm.
seek the opportunity to truly serve others and
Hmm.
lack the expectation to be served.
Correct.
Wow, that's powerful, man.
Correct.
Man, this is great stuff, man. I'm
Hmm.
telling you. Let me ask you this, Cornelius. Let's say someone wanted to invite you to come and speak to them or so. How could they find you? I mean, where would they find you to say, hey, this is.
Well, they can find me excellent. Well, there's multiple ways to reach out to me. You can go to my personal website, which
Mm-hmm,
is, Mr-Maxwell.com. You can
mm,
also send me an email there at info dash Mr. At info at Mr-Maxwell.com. You
mm,
can reach me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just, you can literally just go into the search and just type in my name, Cornelius J Maxwell, and I will pop up. And
mm,
so, and I really wanted to say one more thing. I really, before endorse, I really want to quote the poem that I titled the book after, Unapologetically, I'm a Man.
Go ahead, man.
All right. And it goes, Unapologetically, I'm a man. I am made of bone, tissue, flesh, and blood, thus classified biologically to the mammal kingdom. Yet my stature is upright, and my posture is strong. It keeps me grounded through treacherous adversity. My voice is deep. When I speak, it roars with authority. Classification by pigmentation has labeled me a minority, restricted from health and prosperity, to quench the sinister desires of the majority. But let this declaration be understood with clarity, that I was created in the image of the Most High, uniquely with originality. I can never be stereotyped due to the authenticity of my individual personality, because I'm proud to be the man God made me to be, unapologetically. So that's unapologetically, I'm a man.
Mm,
And I really wanted to break down the human aspect of things, falling to the
mm-hmm,
mammal kingdom, the biological classification, you know, and how I blended that in there and did the wordplay with the being, having the upright stature, because it's men, and
mm-hmm,
then when you look at the man in the mammal kingdom, our stature is upright. That's why we walk on two legs. But also, to
mm-hmm,
have an upright stature is also to be a man of character. And
mm-hmm.
so I did a wordplay with that.
Yeah.
That's why I said my stature is upright and my posture is strong, because it keeps me
Mm-hmm.
grounded through treacherous adversity. Because when things get hard, because I'm upright in my character, I can handle
Wow.
things that are challenging.
Man, Cornelius, let me tell you, man, believe me, man, I appreciate the work that you're doing. I appreciate that
Hmm.
you came and you shared with us all these powerful, life transformative ideas, looking at health and masculinity,
Hmm.
looking at leadership through a different lens. And, this is what we are all about here, guys, on XY Spark. It's empowering men and helping us to realize that there is a spark in you that is just waiting for the opportunity to be ignited, just waiting for you to say, hey, here I am. come on in, take over so I can be the best. And so we are hoping here at XY Spark that our presentation this evening has given you that edge to go now and face those fears now and reach your goals. Because that's what our topic is for tonight. Healthy masculinity, facing the fears and reaching your goals. How about you? Have you been reaching your goals? Have you been challenging yourself? Guys, we hope that you will take this presentation and go and start doing something differently. Cornelius, just before we wrap up, do you have any parting words that you want to say to our listeners, to the men who are tuning in?
Yes, to always to always find value in your birthright, because your
Mm,
birthright is your identity, and it's the identity that you're going to leave behind to your heirs, right?
wow.
Also look at the value of your leadership, because as men we are leaders. So always analyze and reevaluate the quality of your leadership, right? Because that is so important, because leadership is measured by the way we empower others. And in doing so, because we're made as men, we're made to be leaders. I believe. Remember the comedian Chris Rock said, "Women, children, and pets are loved unconditionally, but men are loved by what we do."
Mm,
And that truly defines men, because to because in the end of the day is we have to first be in a position to give unto others, because the more we embrace in bettering ourselves and bettering the quality of our leadership, the more we're able to give that to others. And so by doing this, we're able to create a system and a society around us that perpetuates a system that benefits everyone, because we're empowering everyone to be authentic.
mm,
And
mm,
so by doing that, that is the power of men. That's what we bring to the family structure. That's what we bring to society, is that level of leadership. It's a matter of learning the skill of leadership.
mhm, mhm,
And that
mhm,
is so valuable. And because the leadership defines a man, as men, we're defined by what we do, the things that we do, the way we love is by actually doing things, right?
mhm,
Um, even the Bible charges men to love their wives, right? Like Christ
mhm,
loved the church and he shed blood and died for it,
mhm,
but our women are not charged to die for us. They're charged to respect us, right? As men, because
mhm,
respect is more valuable for us than feeling the emotion of I need a protector. We are the protector. So
mhm,
we don't need a woman to love us like she's going to protect me,
mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm,
So
mhm,
with that, as men, we really need to start reteaching these principles, um, to our children, to our women, and then to our men, even to learn these principles, because they're valuable. They are valuable.
mhm,
The treasures of a man's heart, his mouth speaks. So, what are the values of your character that you can speak about?
mhm, mhm, mhm.
That weighs more, because your reputation and things that we do will still live long after we're dead.
Hmm.
So,
Wow, wow. Cornelius, man, thank you so much, man. If you're just joining us, you've missed so much already. We're drawing closer to closing out our program now. We had our special guest, Cornelius J Maxwell. He's a ex a veteran, a philanthropist, author, motivational speaker. And this evening he really brought some powerful points, and the main pieces that he was challenging us as men to do is to recognize that two main roles that we have as it relates to healthy masculinities. Number one is we are leaders. And number two, as leaders, we must think about empowering others so that there can be authenticity and there can be a legacy that is left with that. Cornelius, man, thank you for being with us here tonight on XY Spark. We appreciate you. And we want you to know that you have automatically been handed the baton to be an official member of the XY Spark family. And so that means we'll be calling up on you again in the near future. But in the meantime, buddy, thank you for taking the time to be here with us. We appreciate the work that you're doing. And you just keep safe. And we will invite you back again soon, buddy.
Great, thank you, thank you for having me. I thank you for your audience. Like I said, I truly appreciate and I honor and value, and I feel privileged for everyone who's invested in this conversation because I know I am sincere and authentic in this conversation. So, thank you,
Great.
thank
Thank
you,
you,
thank you.
Cornelius. And guys, I want to tell you just before we go, I want you to go look out for Cornelius's book. It's called Unapologetically I'm a Man. Great read. Okay, you can go find it there in the bookstore. You know, you can find him on Twitter. Just look for Cornelius J Maxwell. You can reach out to him and he can probably mail you a copy of that or tell you where to get it. In the meantime, this is Rolando, your boy with XY Spark. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you again when we have another live show coming up next week. Have a great night, keep safe, and walk good.
Please join Rolando next time on XY Spark as he engages us in practical discussions that promotes healthy masculinity and challenge men to live extraordinary lives. At XY Spark, we believe the key for happier families is restoring healthy masculinity.